let's talk about my natural unmedicated birth story in Bali. I asked you guys on Instagram if you wanted to see this video, my birth story, about basically giving birth to my baby girl in Bali, and so many of you voted for yes, which I'm so surprised about. So, yeah, here we are. I'm gonna share the video. I hope it's gonna be a easy to follow video and my mind is not all over the place because sometimes um, I'm talking too many things at once. So yeah, I hope it's easy to follow. But anyways, let's dive right into it. Let's begin. A couple of days before the birth, I was going to Ubud because we're living in the south of Bali currently, and I wanted to give birth in this women's clinic. It's a very beautiful clinic in Ubud where the focus is a bit more in a natural way to support the mom and the baby in the most natural way possible. And yeah, the birth is unmedicated, like a natural birth. And in that clinic, you could also not have a C-section. So in case of an emergency, they have a ambulance there and they drive you to the nearby hospital in case you would need that. So yeah, that was the only thing that I was maybe slightly worried about in case of a crazy emergency, if I could be rushed fast enough to the hospital. But yeah, they do births there all the time, so I trusted that everything is gonna go fine and that there is so many amazing people there to take care of me, and they do births there almost every day. So yeah, that was it, I guess, in that sense. Like, I wanted to have the most natural birth, and yeah, no, for me the biggest nightmare would have been a C-section. I don't know why, but it scares me so much. I didn't want to be cut open at all. So I just tried to manifest onto the fact I wanted to have a natural birth. Or I focused so much on that. And then, yeah, so we drove to Ubud, I think 2 weeks before my due date, because I wanted to go to Ubud already to clear my mind from work, because I've been working constantly or nonstop for the last, I don't know, for the last year basically, and also worked until the 8th month, I think. So I feel like my pregnancy went by so fast and so natural. Like, I didn't really feel like, I mean, I felt like I'm pregnant, but nothing held me back during the pregnancy. I could still teach yoga, I could still do surfing until 8 months. So I did pretty much everything I did before, just with a little bit more of a precaution. But I knew I wanted to go to Ubud before that because I really wanted to settle my mind, rest, relax, and be away from home, because I knew if I would have been home, I still would do so many things. Like, still, actually, the day before going to Ubud, I was painting the walls, so I'm still missing some, but you see the white up there. Yeah, so I knew if I stay home, I do too many things. So we went to Ubud, and it was the best decision ever already going there. It felt like a vacation. It was kind of like a vacation. It was very beautiful to be there, to be in the green, to be able to go out for walks in the rice fields in the mornings, go into the cafe that was near my homestay every morning to just enjoy and really focus on the birth, because I felt like I really needed that time to mentally prepare myself. Um, and then, yeah, I just enjoyed my day basically every single day up until the day before birth. I went walking downtown in the city center, which was only like a 10-minute walk or 15 minutes. So I was every day walking, going through the shops. If you've been to Ubud before, it's really beautiful to just stroll through the downtown. And yeah, basically just enjoying every single day before the birth. And then when my due day was happening, I had a few contractions in that week, or like from the due date until a week later. So the baby came a week after the due date, and in that time frame, I had sometimes some mild contractions, but they went away again. And the day before the baby arrived, we had two doctor checkups, one in the clinic, and they said, yeah, everything fine. And then I had another one in the evening in another hospital that was more specialized in checking if the placenta is fine, if the the water is fine inside, the the blood and everything. They did an in detail check, and based on that check, the doctor said, "Oh yeah, maybe the baby will come in a few days." Um, oh yeah, that's important. In the morning at the clinic, at the women's clinic, the cool thing is that they have a lot of natural ways to also induce the labor. So they had acupuncture there, or they have acupuncture. So I did acupuncture, and they said that they do an acupuncture on me that kind of speeds up or makes the baby come in a more natural way. So I said, yeah, sure, let's do that. But I didn't think that it would come the next day. And in the evening, when we checked at the other doctor for the in detail check, we felt like, or we felt like, okay, everything is fine. Maybe the baby still takes its time. It's a week over the due date, but if you're 2 weeks over the due date, it's still fine. So we thought, yeah, maybe she's gonna come in a few days. And that night, actually, Josie was thinking to go back home to Uluwatu or Nusa Dua, because to feed the animals, and because sometimes he would travel in between Ubud and Uluwatu because he had to go back to work sometimes, but he would come back in the evening. So he felt like, okay, maybe the baby's gonna come in a few days, so it's safe for him to still go back home in the night and then maybe come back the next morning or the next afternoon. But then for some reason in the night he didn't go home as he planned to do. So he stayed until the morning, and he wanted to leave actually really early that morning, then like at 6 or something. So he wanted to leave either late at night or early in the morning because of the traffic. So driving from Ubud to Uluwatu can get so busy during the day, so it's better to go there in the morning or in the night so you can just have a smooth drive. But then for some reason he kept staying longer than early morning. So we basically slept in, and that same day I already woke up at 5 a.m. because I felt mild contractions, which was already a little bit weird for me because I usually just always woke up for peeing, but not for contractions. So I stayed awake for 2 hours on and off, or I was kind of dozing on and off because of the contractions. But they were super light, and because I had them already before, I thought, okay, it's nothing major, it's fine. And then I fell asleep again, and then I woke up again around 9, I think. And I was starting to get ready, and I was really excited. Another day where I can explore some beautiful cafe in the rice fields. I was really excited to go, and I was starting to get myself ready to go out, and Josie was preparing himself to drive home. And then I started to get stronger contractions, and I felt like, okay, something is a bit more unusual than before, a bit more heavier contractions. So I just thought, okay, let me wait a little bit before going into a cafe. I don't want to go there in pain. But then for some reason I started crying. And when Josie saw me like that, I think he knew instantly, okay, no, that's not, normally I'm not crying from the contractions, but that felt different. So he instantly decided, okay, he's gonna wait to see what's gonna happen. But pretty fast, they started to get more and more, and I he was telling me, are you sure you don't want to go to the clinic? Let's go to the clinic. And I said, no, no, it's fine, because yeah, I didn't feel the contractions too heavy yet, and I was waiting for that instinct where I felt like, okay, now I should go to the hospital, you know. So I was waiting, crying with every contractions. I think it was this. I don't know if the cry was more from the pain or a mix of both pain and fear, because subconsciously I knew it would start now. Yeah, but so yeah. Anyways, I still really wanted to go to the cafe because I had discovered a new one that I really wanted to go back to, but those contractions didn't go away. So we waited, and then at 10, so like an hour later, we just decided, you know what, let's go to the hospital or to the clinic, because it doesn't stop, and because I'm crying, let's just check, you know, let's just go for a checkup. And then we got there, and basically already on the ride to the hospital, we were going by scooter. The ride was already so painful for me. To even just sit on the scooter with the contractions was really painful. And it's really funny because I said to my family at home in Germany that I would call them if we're starting to feel like that the baby's coming, and if when I'm on the way to the hospital, I would give them all a call, my mom, my brother, my dad. I would call everybody. But at that point on the scooter, I couldn't even focus anymore. I couldn't even call anyone. I was just trying to focus on getting to that clinic and to just lay down and relax. Like the last focus was to call anyone right now, because the pain was just getting a bit more intense. And then we got there, and they pretty much arrived at the clinic. They checked me, and they also thought that, oh, maybe it's just some mild contractions, but we can stay there in the clinic to see, just to wait there, and just to spend a few hours there to see how it goes. And I think they didn't really think that it would start today, but for me it was clear, once I go to the hospital for the contractions, I think the baby's coming. And at that point, I was just trying to focus to get through the contractions. So they put us in the room we stay where you stay for an overnight when you give birth there. So you stay for 2 nights after the birth there. And they already put us in that room, and they said, yeah, you can chill here as long as you want. The cool thing about that clinic is that it's a non-profit organization. You can come anytime you want, and payment is based on donations, which is so beautiful. And it's so chill. It's not like as formal as in a hospital where you have to do so much paperwork. I mean, they already have all my information from the previous checkups, so they knew, of course, who's coming. But yeah, they right away gave us a room and said, you can just relax there and see, you know. And then, yeah, pretty much the contractions got stronger and stronger with the hour. And Josie and I were just staying there. And at that point, we got there, I don't know, 10:30 or 11. I was really hungry because I was excited to go to that cafe in the rice fields to eat there, have a coffee, have breakfast. And usually, because yeah, I was in a 9-month pregnant, I was already so hungry, so I would eat early in the morning already something. And at that point at the clinic, it was 11:30. I was so hungry, or because I hadn't eaten anything yet. We were supposed to eat, but I couldn't even think about food at that point because of the pain. Um, and that was just the start of everything, which is crazy. At that point, for me, it was already quite intense. So I couldn't even think about food. And I also didn't want Jussie to leave, because he said, okay, it's already starting to get lunchtime. We should eat something. He asked me to go grab food, but I said, no, stay with me. I was like really stressing about, I didn't want to be alone because I don't know what to expect. And the pain was just getting stronger. So I didn't want to be alone. Um, but yeah, after a while, I could manage my contractions for a little bit by myself. He convinced me, or not convinced me, he said he will just go in a nearby Varu. There's so many places to eat around the clinic. It's really not far. even if it's just 5 minutes, but I just didn't want him to go. But I also knew, okay, we should eat something because we don't know how much longer we're gonna stay there. So I just figured, okay, let me breathe through these contractions. I already know how they feel like, so I can manage like 15 minutes without him. So he was rushing over to grab us some food. And when he came back, I couldn't even eat. He came back with food. I couldn't even think about food. I know I held a cracker for a really long time. I tried to eat it, but I just couldn't eat it. But he tried to, he did give me a few spoons. He tried to feed me at least a little bit, so I eat at least something to have some energy. I think I had 3 spoons of rice, and that was it. And then from that moment on, the contractions just started to get worse and worse with every hour. And then, yeah, from 12 o'clock, I think that's when we ate, just breathing through every contraction. And it's even hard for me right now to think about the contractions. If I try to explain them, it's really hard for me to even remember how they felt. But basically, like a really strong period pain. So yeah, I think that's the best explanation. Wait, baby's crying. Okay, where was I? Basically, yeah, the contractions getting stronger. I just remember around 3 o'clock. I think that's when, around that time, Josie's mom was coming, but I could barely focus on anything because of the pain. So I just noticed she was suddenly there. And also, I guess by that time already the midwives, they came every hour to check um, the heartbeat of the baby, and they also checked how much open I'm already, how much dilation I think it's called. Um, yeah, so I can't remember when Josie was telling them, okay, it's getting more and more, but they just kept coming in every hour. And actually, there were, at that same day of me giving birth, there were so many other people. We were all at the same time in the clinic to give birth, I think 5 people. And usually they only have one. So actually, all their rooms where they normally give birth in were occupied. So we just stayed in the room where you usually stay afterwards. But they also use that room sometimes when there's too many people giving birth at the same time. But yeah, around 3 o'clock, I also remembered, I almost forgot, a doula came in, which was so amazing. She was massaging my whole body basically. She was massaging my legs, my lower back. She did really nice essential oil spreading through my body like a peppermint or something. So it was really relaxing, and she was such a sweet and kind soul. Like, she was amazing, but at the time I couldn't even speak. I was really just breathing and just trying to get through those contractions, so I couldn't really talk a lot, communicate a lot. Also, Josie was asking me if I want to call my mom, but I said I can't even talk right now. And if she would see me like this, she would get more stressed out if she sees me in so much pain and she's so far away and cannot help me. So I said, no, 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 don't call nobody. I also don't want nobody to come, because our friends also said to call us when the birth is starting, so they start coming to the clinic. But at that point, I just didn't want nobody to come, because I don't know what to expect. And I was honestly just so occupied with that pain, trying to manage my breathing to get through that. And yeah, I think it was around 3 o'clock where I already thought, okay, I am already going through so much pain for so many hours. Maybe the dilation is already, I don't know, at 7 or something. That's what I was thinking, and you have to open up until 10 centimeters. And I was, yeah, we were waiting, and the midwives came in and they checked down there and they told me it's only 2 centimeters. And when I heard that, I thought, no way. Like, all this pain and all these hours, like basically, okay, only like 4 hours, I think. yeah, around 4 hours going through the pain. I thought we're gonna be so much faster there, you know. But when I heard 2 centimeters, I thought, oh my god, I, literally the only thing for me is to surrender, stop asking how much longer, because it took so many hours just to get to 2 centimeters. So yeah, all I was at that point, I was already asking if there's any painkiller, if there's anything I can take, but they told me that they don't have anything against the pain because they want me to feel every contraction so I can work with them. So yeah, at that point I was really questioning my whole life. I I was even thinking about considering a C-section if the pain is just, I mean, obviously the pain is gonna get worse, and I thought, oh my god, I don't know how much longer I can handle that. So I was really considering a C-section or thinking about it. And before the birth, that was something like an absolute no-go for me. And then I was also thinking about, oh my god, birth, this is crazy. I think I will not have a second baby because this is insane, you know. So I had all these thoughts about, oh my god, all these like, oh my god, I will never do this again. This is awful. Um, yeah, and then basically from that moment on, I lost track of time. The Again, with every hour, the contractions got worse and worse. The midwives came in only every hour, so I feel like Josie and I, we did the whole birth kind of by ourselves in a sense, until the last point. I mean, the midwives always came and checked, but they said we need to, you know, we need the contractions, we need to open up more. There's nothing else we can do. Basically, wait and get through the contractions. And yeah, I'm glad Josie's mom was there. She also helped. She was massaging my legs while Josie was always, you know, around me here, holding me, helping me with every pain. I just remember with every time I felt the contractions come, I was telling him, "Oh my God, next one," and I just held on to him to feel the comfort. And also, I remember pushing against the walls, just like to, I don't know, push against something. And it's really funny. A day after, my whole arms and legs hurt so much, as if I did like a 4 hour surf session. I felt like my whole muscles, they were so worked up because of that. But yeah, fast forward, I honestly can't remember much until the actual pushing part. I just remember at different sections. So when I was already more dilated, more open, there were different breathing techniques. And the midwives always showed me how to breathe, and then Josie was trying to do it with me. So the midwives showed him how to help me, support me, which was so helpful. I remember I just looked at him, I stared at him in his eyes, just to listen to his guidance. Like, I literally needed him to guide me through it. So I felt like I didn't lose myself, because I felt like just going through the contractions required so much effort, so much focus, and all the pain, that you really need some emotional support system to help guide you through. So you do it kind of together, you know, so you have the strength to keep going. And for me, that was like, Josie was such an essential part in the birth. Like, I would say he was literally the other half of, yeah, he was the other 50% of the baby arriving. Like, without him, I don't know how I would have done it. I can't remember. There were different breathing. Ah, yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about, which was really interesting because I'm a yoga teacher, so I know a lot of breathing techniques. But I started to realize with the contractions, at first I didn't fully realize how to work with them, how to breathe through it. But then I started to get the hang of it later, which really made a difference. So you have to really breathe down, right? And we think breathing out, breathing down and out of your stomach or out of the belly, like pushing the breath out, but you actually send the breath even lower. And whenever I did that, so, and by sending the breath lower, not emptying out the belly, but kind of sending that breath down, all the way down, where you kind of push the belly out, and down there also open up. And with that opening, so I don't know if I explain it properly, but it's not that you empty out the air out of the belly, you send the breath all the way down, and as if you would breathe, not breathe into the belly, but you push the belly out. So it kind of creates this opening down there, which allowed the contraction to feel more easy. So yeah, I try to really focus on that kind of breathing for the longest time, and with that, it was a bit more manageable. So I felt like, okay, with that technique I can control it, and I thought it stays like this, and then it just started to get worse and worse again. And then later, I can't remember, was it around 8 centimeters open, but kind of closer to the pushing process. The midwives came and showed me a different way of breathing. And at first, when the midwife was there, so she basically showed me how to breathe, basically like this, like this typical breath. Because now my body started to naturally push, but I couldn't push yet. I couldn't help the push of the body yet because I wasn't open enough yet. So I couldn't push. So that was the hardest thing I felt like I had to work against that natural feeling that my body wants to do. So my body cramped up and wanted to push, but I had to relax and ease into it so that feeling of the push would disappear. And that was so hard to work against that, because your whole body prepares to push, basically pushes by itself, but you have to actively work against it. That was really hard in combination with awful pain. Yeah, so at that point when the midwife was there, she showed me that breath, how to breathe like that, and all I was thinking was like, don't leave me, don't leave me. I remember I held onto her arm and I said, don't leave. Because I felt like at that point I really needed someone, like that focus and that safety feeling of someone that has the skills and the knowledge to be there right now with me and not leave me alone. And basically she was showing Josie how to help me and how to support me, and she put him right in front of me where she was sitting, and basically he was doing what she was doing with me. And yeah, at that point, I remember I just stared in his eyes, waiting for the instructions. And he was like looking me really in the eye, and he was like, okay, breathe, breathe. And now do that push. And he was pushing, he was breathing with me like this. It was really, now it's funny if I think about it and we're laughing about it, but in the moment, honestly, it was a lifesaver. I don't know, again, how I would have done it without him. He was really guiding me through the breath entirely. And then whenever the contraction was disappearing again and I could breathe, I was just staring at him with like a blank stare. But I was just I was so focused and concentrated on not enjoying the moment where there was no contraction, but just to have that moment of like, okay, I can get myself together again for this short little moment until the next contraction is coming. So at that point, I feel like I wasn't really there. I couldn't really fathom what was going on around me. But yeah, I was just too focused and too concentrated to get through these contractions because they were so painful. And I remember before that part, that's already close to giving birth. Before that part, I remember I tried to stand up or move in a different position, but I was laying down on the side. So on my left side, I was laying for most of the time. Yeah, sometimes in the earlier beginning, I tried to do standing up, or they told me to sit on a ball like this gymnastic ball, but that was so uncomfortable for me because I feel like I'm trying to open up down there, but on the ball I'm literally sitting down, pressing down, and it's closing again, so I felt really uncomfortable. Yeah, I just remember sometimes I was standing up and I was just, when there was a contraction coming, I was holding on to Jesse's hips like that, and I was just digging my head into his into his body, into his belly, because I don't know, for some reason that was helping, but it was just more for the comfort, I guess, to really feel that safety and security. So that was really helping. So if you're giving birth, make sure there's somebody there that's your emotional and physical safe space that's really helping you, because without that, I don't know how you can go through a natural unmedicated birth like that. So yeah, and then at this point it was already night. I don't know, from 3 o'clock until 9. I don't know how the time went by. I didn't notice the time. It just felt like forever, and I feel like I was just forever in pain. But again, I didn't want to ask how much longer, because yeah, I thought it's gonna go on forever. But then at 9, I think it was around 9 o'clock, the midwife came in, and then she suddenly said, oh, okay, you're open enough, we can start the pushing. And I didn't know what was going on, like a miracle. It suddenly seemed like, what, we're ready to push the baby out already? I mean, at that point it's been already, I think, around 10 hours. So I thought it's gonna go on so much longer. But yeah, suddenly she said, you know what, we're ready to push, so how I wanna prepare. And then I didn't even know how to do it. Like I wasn't even, I didn't know what to do at all. I was just laying there trying to let everything get over me, you know. But they were, I don't know who said that, the midwife or who suggested it, but basically we were on the bed. Jesse was sitting behind me, with, so I could lean into him, and his legs were here, so I could really lean into him like this, and he supported me from the back. And I feel like that was the most beautiful way to give birth. I feel like we gave birth together, because he supported me from the back, and I could lean into him. I had my head on his shoulder, and I just looked at him the whole time. Like I feel like I needed to have that eye contact with him the whole time, so I felt like I'm safe and secure. And there's something about his eyes that are so relaxing. I mean, he's in general a very relaxed person, very calm and steady. So looking in his eyes, I feel like, okay, I'm good, I'm safe, you know, because he's super chill, and he never let me feel like he's scared or anything or stressed. None of that. He was like, as if this is like the most relaxed thing to do. So he really made me feel good in that way. And then yeah, for the actual pushing process, this is all I remember. I can't remember the contractions, but I can remember the pushing. And I already thought that the contractions is gonna be the worst thing ever. But actually pushing the baby out was the biggest pain out of all, but it was the shortest moment. So the whole pushing process only lasted 15 minutes. And they actually recorded the whole pushing out, which is crazy, because I have the craziest scream of my life on video, and the baby coming out of me also on video. The only thing is, I would like to show you, but I cannot, because the way they filmed straight into me, and you can see everything. So I cannot show this video to anyone. But it's a nice memory, I guess, to have it for ourselves. And basically, so let's talk a little bit about the whole pushing process. The pushing was very interesting, because now I needed a different breathing technique. And at first I thought I could just breathe just like before, just breathe, sending the breath down, all the way down. But this time they said, no, you cannot do that. In the beginning I tried to still do that, and they told me, no, you cannot breathe like that. You literally need to push the baby out. Like you cannot breathe out. You need to hold the breath and really push with everything you have. And at first I didn't get that. So the first few times I didn't push properly, I didn't breathe properly. And then I tried to push, and it was just so painful. And then yeah, I finally got the hang of the push. So you basically push like this, you breathe in, and then like this, like you kind of cramp up your whole body just to press it out. And then the head came out, and I just remember, yeah, Josie was holding me from the back, supporting me from the back. I was telling him, his mom, Ibu, hold my hand. So she came and held my hand, and the midwife was there to, yeah, check on the baby, catch the baby, I guess. And then, yeah, I just remember pushing was so painful. I just remember looking at Josie the whole time and staring into his eyes, helping me, you know, like the pushing was so painful and so exhausting. So whenever the contractions stopped, I just stared at him, like kind of like lifeless, you know, like all the life was sucked out of me. And it's really funny because later he told our friends, he didn't tell me, or also in the moment he didn't want to scare me, but he told our friends, and they told me later that he was so scared. I looked like I had a blank stare without life inside of me. Like he said he was scared that I would just give up because it was too painful. So he was really worried. He said, um, which is crazy, yeah, because I didn't experience it like that. In my point of view, I looked at him, and for me, he was safe. I felt secure. I felt protected. So I felt like, you know, we're doing this together. So yeah, was really glad that I didn't see the scaredness in his eyes, you know, or the worry. Um, but yeah, I just remember then again they told me the head is out, you need to push harder, even harder, and I pushed and pushed, and they kept saying like you need to push even harder, and I remember I just pushed like as if I have to push the life out of me, like, and I pushed so hard that I screamed. I did such a loud scream. I never screamed like that in my life, and it's crazy. If I look at the video now, it's like scary, that scream. But I screamed so hard, and I think that was the moment where I felt like I could feel that the body inside of me, not stuck, but I know it was about to come out, but I need to push so it comes out. And it felt like, I don't know what I could feel, but I feel like it was the widest part of the body, which I imagine were the shoulders, kind of stuck inside of me, and they have to come out, you know, like that, like really weird feeling. But that's the only thing that I remember from the birth, which is so interesting because I can't remember the contractions, like I said, but I can really remember that feeling of there's like as if there's those two bones stuck on a body trying to get out. And yeah, I just pushed for my life, literally, as if my life was depending on it, which literally was like that. I pushed, and then yeah, she came out, and I thought that's everything, but there were still, I don't know, the body or the legs in there, so still not fully out. And I thought, okay, my storage was full right now, I have to use another device. But yeah, where was I? The crazy push. Yeah, so I waited for another contraction, or for another feeling of like now my body's pushing again, so I can push with it. And then the whole baby came out, and it was such a strange feeling, like as if, yeah, like a whole, like something just sliding out of me, like a big blob sliding out of me. That feeling was really weird. But yeah, the baby came out, and I feel like I was under shock still. I just remember I'm like breathing like, ah, like I'm making all these weird sounds of like, oh my god, like, you know, that exhaustion breath, like after a run, something like that, with some weird sounds I feel like I was doing, because I was just like, yeah, the pain of my life, literally, I can't even explain it. It was crazy. The baby coming out, and they right away put her on me, but I couldn't even understand at that moment what was going on. She was just laying there, and I was just, I guess, so relieved that she was finally out. And it was so interesting. As soon as she's out, no more pain, everything was gone completely. um, yeah, I actually teared a little bit down there, but just minor. So they did the stitches right afterwards. Um, so yeah, they put a little anesthesia down there so they could sew me, And they said that some people find the sewing you back together is more painful than the birth. I don't know who said that. So I was preparing for another pain. I was like, oh my god, please no, I cannot handle more of that. And then they sewed me together, and it honestly was not painful at all compared to the birth. Like no, it was just I think three small little stitches, and that was it. And yeah, they put the baby on me, and they also put the placenta. Yeah, I think I had to do one more push. I can't even remember until the placenta came out. Once it came out, they put it in a bowl and put it next to me, and they actually left the placenta without cutting the cord for a whole day, which was really nice. That was also another reason why I wanted to go to the natural clinic, because I didn't want my cord to be cut right away. And I didn't know in that clinic actually they leave it until the whole next day. So I was just chilling with the baby and the placenta next to me, and really beautiful. They put frangipani flowers from outside from the garden inside the placenta bowl and decorated it really nice. Yeah, that was really beautiful. But there was something else that I wanted to share with you, I think, about the pushing process. Let me pause real quick to think about that. So I can't remember what I was gonna tell you about the pushing process, but I just remember that I wanted to share with you something about the contractions, because whoever's watching this video and is about to give birth, I don't want to scare you that it's only painful, because I feel like I only talk about the pain. What I wanted to tell you is, yeah, there's always really painful moments, and then suddenly the pain just disappears again. So you always have a minute to breathe. You always have a time to, relax again and prepare for the next. So it's always like an up and down, up and down. And then what I feel like made me keep going was that every once in a while some contractions came in and they were really manageable. So they were not only painful. So there were always, every once in a while, some really, really painful one, and then some that I could really manage through breathing. But then also, some other contractions came, and it feels like there was no relaxing break in between, like as if there were three in a row, like really strong. But then again, more relaxing ones after that. So yeah, that really made me able to keep going without giving up, because yeah, I feel like otherwise I would have maybe given up or thought I couldn't do it. But every time I had a thought like that, something slowed the process down, the pain, and it was manageable again. And I felt like, okay, I have the motivation and the energy again to keep going. So I just wanted to share that with you, so it doesn't sound like I had a horrible birth experience with only pain. Yes, it was extremely painful, but there were manageable moments in between, definitely. Yeah, so basically that was the whole process of 10 hours giving birth, or like the whole process of giving birth. It took 10 hours. It was the worst pain of my life. But yeah, like they say, as soon as you have the baby on you, the pain is gone, which is true. I don't know if the pain is gone because literally there's no contractions anymore. And I think you're so full of adrenaline or something, or that's how I felt, like that I couldn't even feel any pain. Like I was pushing the baby out, and afterwards I felt amazing. Like no pain, no nothing. I could stand up and do everything. So yeah, it just changed my clothes. Basically, I wanted to shower right away because I never sweat so much in my whole life. That was another thing, the sweating part. Like whenever there was a contraction, I was sweating so much. And as soon as the contractions stopped, I felt like I was getting so cold that to some degree I was starting to shake, like really cold. And I thought it was just cold because the AC was on a little bit and I was so sweaty and wet. So I thought from the AC I'm starting to feel so cold. And the midwives, they were saying that I'm starting to shake so much because of the pain. So that's crazy because I thought I was just cold, but it was from the pain. It was so much that my body started shaking. Yeah, so I was extremely sweaty and I just wanted to shower, but they told me to shower the next day, not right away. So yeah, I felt, besides that, I felt great. I could do everything. I feel like they sewed me back together. I was chilling with the baby, breastfeeding right away. I can't even remember that part when I did that right away or a few hours later. I I have a blank page of that. I was just chilling and I remember basically the baby was born around 9:30 in the night or 45, something like that. Yeah, but so anyways, I was awake until 3 a.m. and then I think we only slept for 2 or 3 hours. And then we stayed in the hospital on the clinic for 2 nights, which is really nice to have you there for 2 nights just to make sure that everything is good, you're healing properly, there's not too much blood coming out of you outside the norm. So they basically have you there to make sure you're feeling good. You can stay even longer if you feel like you need more help, more support. And for me, it was great. We stayed there for 2 nights, and I'm so happy I could stay there for longer because the midwife showed me how to breastfeed properly. Um, and they just helped me with everything, which was amazing. So, yeah, I feel like that covers the whole birth. I'm sure I forgot many aspects of it, but that's everything I remember. Yeah, the pushing part, or like the whole everything, it was just took so much um, focus on concentration actually to go through the birth, and really just there was not much else I could do besides just really surrendering and always waiting for the next contraction. I feel like the hours went by. I forgot where I was again. I think the different breathing techniques and the concentration is everything. Oh yeah, being really in the present moment. There's, yeah, nothing else I could do. Honestly, I couldn't even send a message to my family back at home because I got there to the room at 11 and I put my phone on the side and I stayed there the whole time. When the baby was born, I told Josie to real quick send a picture to my mom and keep her up to date. He actually wanted to call her during the whole process, so she's gonna be part of it. But I said no way. There's no way. I can't even focus. I can't even talk to the people in the room, so I can't even focus on being on the phone right now. And again, if my mom would see me in so much pain, she would freak out. So yeah, I couldn't do that. But yeah, I sent her a picture right afterwards, and I think they knew already that it was going on because I didn't respond to the messages, and my mom had a feeling already that it's maybe gonna happen today or that day. So I checked my phone afterwards, and there were a bunch of messages from them with support and saying like, we know you can do it. So somehow, without me telling them, they knew that the birth is gonna happen, which is funny. Yeah, and then yeah, our friends arrived also, which was really nice. They for support. They came to the clinic, and yeah, I had no pain. I guess I was full of adrenaline. What it felt like, I was awake a lot, sleeping only 2 hours, and then actually the next day, that's when it slowly hit me when I started to feel a bit more pain down there from the whole birth. And then 2 days later, I feel like the pain was getting a bit stronger. Just, I guess, yeah, to recuperate the whole birth, the pushing, everything from down there. So it hurt only maybe for a couple of days. Just a little bit of, not like a super sharp pain, but like, just like you can imagine from all that process that the body is like, yeah, hurt in that sense. And then my muscles hurt as if I did like a 4 hour surf session, which felt crazy. And then, yeah, the bleeding a lot, but you have those kind of diapers to wear for the blood. I remember the first night, so much blood came out that it was leaking all over the bed. I felt so bad. The whole white bed linen of the hospital were red. Um, But yeah, they changed it and it was fine. And then the next day I could finally shower. And yeah, that's it so far. I feel like the video is like an hour long. I could ramble for another half an hour, but I feel like that's it so far. Um, Let me know if there's any other things you would like to know. Maybe things that I didn't expect would happen during a birth or after birth, or stuff like that, you know, that you're bleeding a lot after birth, which I heard before, but I didn't know it was so long. That you bleed for quite a long time, but it makes sense. There's a wound down there or inside of you still. Um, yeah, what else could what else could I share about the birth? Our baby girl has been the only girl being born on that day, although there were 5 people in the clinic giving birth that day. But she was the only girl, and the whole week also she's been the only girl. Oh, yeah, one more aspect. I think why in the beginning I felt like they didn't believe, or not believe, but I felt like the birth is happening that day. But the midwives, they kept saying, okay, let's wait to see if the water is breaking, but my water never broke. So for some reason they told me, or that's what I understood, my water didn't break the whole time. So I don't know if it broke somehow when the baby came out, or it broke, I don't know. I have no idea, but they told me for some reason that the water never broke, and that this is like a really special thing in Bali. In I think that's what, I can't remember properly, but they said this is something really unique. Doesn't happen often. So yeah, I don't know if this is even possible because somehow the water has to break. So I don't know how come it didn't even break when the baby came out. I don't understand. I still don't understand this process. um, but yeah, that's it so far. Again, I could, it hurts. I could talk for hours. It's been 3 weeks now. Yeah, after the birth, you think the pain is gonna be over, but if you start breastfeeding, there's more pain to come. The first week has been absolutely terrible. I would say the first 2 weeks, and now week 3, it's slowly getting better. Or not slowly, it's way better already, but before my nipples were bloody, completely bloody, and even bloody crusted. Sorry for the disgusting details, but it's been so painful. I was crying while breastfeeding. But nevertheless, I still believed, okay, this is not going to go on forever. The midwives told me after a week it's going to get better. I would say after 2 weeks it started to get better. Now week 3, I see they are healing. Like one side is almost healed completely. This side is still a little bit painful, but nothing compared to the first week. But yeah, that's also going away. Then I can fully walk and do everything again. The first week it was still hurting a little bit when I was sitting down. But yeah, now I'm almost back to normal, which is crazy after giving birth. And now I just have this little munchkin, which is such a blessing to have. We basically breastfeed non-stop. So I'm home since 3 weeks. We actually, after 1 week, we had a baby check. We went back to Ubud, and that was great. And now we just measure her weight, that she's gaining weight every week, which she's kind of gaining 200 grams per week based on our measurements. And yeah, we're just chilling all day at home. We're basically like this on and off. So my days go by so fast. Just, I feel like breastfeeding and being present with her, napping if I'm tired. But I have to say I'm not really that sleep deprived because she's sleeping very well, like a couple of hours a night. I know the midwives told me to wake her up every 2 hours, but honestly, she sleeps so well at night that I don't feel the need to wake her up because she's drinking all day during the day. So I leave her having this good routine already, sleeping at night. Sometimes she's waking up once or twice. I just feed her and then we fall asleep together. yeah, so I'm not really that tired. I feel like we're on the same vibe. Whenever she's cranky, I'm cranky. Whenever she is tired, I'm a little bit tired also. So we always sleep together and do everything together. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope I didn't forget anything important. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions to cover maybe another video about unexpected things I didn't know would happen at birth, after birth, during the last trimester, stuff like that. I could think of some things because I didn't do a preparation course for birth, so I went in there completely blind. I didn't know what to expect. I just went with the flow of how everything would go. So yeah, some things I didn't know would be like a certain way, like for example that there's so many different breathing techniques throughout the stages, stuff like that. But yeah, I just let everything happen or come to me in a natural way, and then whatever I naturally or intuitively feel like, I was just going with that route, and everything else the midwives helped me. But yeah, basically what I was gonna say also, because there were so many births that day in the clinic, that basically I feel like the midwives just came check on me every hour, but besides that, Josie and me did almost the whole thing by ourselves. And just, of course, for the end, for the pushing, there was a midwife there helping us with that. And it was really beautiful. Just before she came out, the midwife and Josie's mom, so they're both Balinese, they started singing Balinese songs and helping and supporting me in such a beautiful way. That was so nice. I barely realized it because I was in so much pain, but it was really beautiful. They were singing and Jessie was holding me from the back. So it was like a really beautiful bonding experience that definitely brought us closer together, and yeah, made us appreciate the whole process of birth so much. I mean, just the amount of sacrifice you give as a mom, the whole process of birth is just such a wild experience that, yeah, I don't think you can compare that to anything. It really makes you appreciate life, bringing a new life onto the world, also appreciating your mom with what she's done, with bringing me to the world, you know. So gives you a different perspective on life. Also, all the sacrifices, not just the pain during the birth, also the pain through the breastfeeding, the pain through basically the whole process. You literally sacrifice a part of you to bring new life into the world, which is pretty wild. And it's also wild that the body is designed to do that. So yeah, which is, all of it is wild and crazy. But yeah, let me stop talking now, because otherwise this video goes an hour. I think it's already an hour. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any other questions you have, and yeah, maybe see you next time. Peace.